We often feel the need to express and organize our inner chaos, but in doing so, we lose the raw energy and fluidity that drives us. Wouldn't it be better to let these emotions flow without trying to control them? When we live intensely, we approach the edge of life itself, like lovers on the brink of death. However, repressing this intensity leads to self-destruction. To avoid this, we must express it, because holding on to such feelings can ruin us. Lyrical expression is born out of the deepest parts of our soul: suffering, love, madness. It represents our raw, unrefined nature, an explosion of passion beyond the limits of systems or forms. It is in this uncontrolled, almost barbaric expression that we find authenticity. Why do we strive for connections, goals, and ambitions in a world that feels so distant and empty? Sometimes it seems better to withdraw, leaving behind the noise and complications of life. We are hopelessly lonely, closed off from each other. Even in death, we seek companionship, but this reveals our inability to face the end alone. The truest death is one of solitude, where even light becomes a reminder of life's isolation. It makes us question whether there is anything more than the vast emptiness of the world and our own insignificance. There are experiences so extreme they drain life of its meaning. After reaching the limits of existence, everything feels empty, every gesture hollow. To survive, we must create distance from our pain, often through writing or creativity, which offers temporary relief. Life feels like an uncontrollable force, expanding and exploding into nothingness. When we push every experience to its extreme, we reach a point where nothing else remains. The intensity of loneliness, despair, and love consumes us until there is no boundary between life and the void. At this point, survival feels impossible, as we are overwhelmed by the forces of life itself. Life for someone consumed by suffering feels meaningless. If the world tolerates such misery, then it must be deeply flawed, its light obscured by darkness. My efforts to rise, to find brilliance in life, have all been crushed by the brutality of existence. Life, it seems, is only bearable for those who can accept mediocrity, living at a normal temperature. Those who burn too intensely are destined to fall. My only method is agony, and in that agony, perhaps I can find purity. If everyone were forced into the torment of their final moments, they would see life more clearly, stripped of illusions. This agony, a radical purification, could transfigure life, raising it beyond the shallow, everyday existence of the mediocre. There is a sensation of dissolving, where the self melts into a state of weariness so intense it erases everything solid about you, leaving only the mind adrift. This isn't a pleasant weariness, but one that destroys all hope and effort, leaving you in cold darkness, frozen at life's most negative limit. Agony in its truest form is not a passionate struggle, but the hopeless battle between life and death. Most of life is an ongoing agony, where death is always present. Moments of deep weariness show us how close we are to ruin, as death gnaws away at our existence. Even the desire to die comes with regret. There's nothing pleasurable in the obsession with death. Those who know this feeling are haunted by it, their existence consumed by the knowledge of their inevitable end. There are questions about death that isolate you from life, making everything else seem trivial. Once you confront death's reality, your previous pursuits feel shallow. Death becomes the most profound truth. Unlike abstract thinking, the truth of death is born from inner agony, revealing itself through the body and soul. For those who understand, Death is not external to life, but an immanent force within it. The idea that death happens separately from life is an illusion. Every step we take in life is a step toward death. Healthy, average people see death as something far away, something that happens at the end of life. But for those who feel death's presence deeply, life is just a long agony, a slow process of moving toward death. The revelation of death's imminence strips life of its naive pleasures, exposing the nothingness at its core. Death consumes everything, people, cultures, dreams, and in doing so shows us that life is ultimately meaningless. Illness and depression bring us closer to this realization. These states force us to see the intertwining of life and death, revealing how fragile and temporary life is. Only those who experience deep suffering truly understand this. The fear of death cannot be eliminated through logic. It is an organic fear that grips the soul. All other fears stem from this primal fear of death, because death represents the ultimate nothingness. In the end, death is not something we can prepare for. There is no technique, no philosophy that can adequately face it. We live in the slow agony of approaching death, and most people are unaware of this until their final moments. Time itself is demonic, driving both life and death forward without meaning. There is no salvation in existence, and none in nothingness either. We are trapped between the two, bound to a fate we cannot escape. Nothing is important. I recognize that my suffering and thoughts, though deeply personal, are ultimately insignificant in the grand scheme of the universe. Yet my own existence feels like the only real one. If forced to choose, I would reject the world and its values, preferring to drift in nothingness. Life is a torture I cannot renounce, not because of any grand belief, but because life continues irrationally, without reason or purpose. This world is not worth sacrificing for an idea or belief, and the suffering of those before us who may have died for our well-being seems pointless. Why should I care about history, or even my own existence, when everything suffering, joy, and meaning feels like an illusion? My tears have always turned into bitter thoughts, leaving me to wonder, what is the point of any of it? In moments of ecstasy, superficial aspects of life fall away, revealing a deeper reality. True metaphysical insight is only possible by stripping away these layers and experiencing a profound, ecstatic vision of existence. Ecstasy is dangerous because it pushes us beyond reason, like ancient initiations, where the ultimate revelation was the unknowable darkness of divinity. It is an experience best understood in solitude, where one floats above the world, consumed by both madness and illumination. Despair is often a prerequisite for ecstasy, as both require radical purifications of the soul. The forgetfulness that follows sexual pleasure can make death feel illusory. When ordinary existence becomes unbearable, moments of ecstasy can prompt thoughts of suicide. In these heightened experiences, the struggle to survive often feels futile. I speak of the deep sadness and joy at life's end. Everything is final, and the anxiety of nothingness brings a perverse joy, a love for nothingness and the fleeting nature of existence. Is life merely an exile, while nothingness is home? I confront my destiny with rage and embrace both light and darkness. Let my actions be triumphs or failures, and may life surge through me like lightning. I refuse to let the banality of daily life diminish my inner chaos. Enduring extreme tension is not virtuous but foolish. After experiencing nothingness and peak pleasure, survival seems meaningless. Why don't we embrace death in those fleeting moments of ecstasy? There are many forms of death. Why not consider sexual suicide, a passage to nothingness from heights of pleasure? Many long for death after profound experiences. Man's condition is tragic. He finds no fulfillment in simple pleasures. For animals, life is everything, but for man, it's an irreversible question mark that holds no answers. Life lacks meaning and can never possess one. When the ticking of a watch shatters the silence of eternity, it stirs resentment toward the absurdity of time and the notions of evolution and progress. Why move forward? This revelation of time highlights a deep contempt for life and a reluctance to continue. In the solitude of night, facing time alone amplifies the sensation of profound loneliness. Time transforms into an expanding nothingness, a threat looming in the void. Silence becomes the mournful echo of a universe in decay. Only those who detach time from existence experience this struggle, feeling crushed by the relentless march of time, which, like death, encroaches upon us. Insomnia strips away the multiplicity of the world, leaving you exposed to private obsessions. During sleepless nights, enchanting yet regretful melodies emerge, hinting at an infinite loss. A singular thought can dominate these wakeful hours, stirring universal anxiety within the soul. Death, while terrifying, transforms into a haunting musical presence, and this sadness mirrors the melancholy of Oriental music, where the mystery of death overshadows love. Defining man as the animal that cannot sleep reveals the profound significance of insomnia. Unlike other creatures, humans suffer from the awareness of sleeplessness, leading to despair. While sleep allows forgetfulness and fresh beginnings, insomnia engenders irrevocable sadness. Those plagued by sleeplessness find beds more frightening than torture racks, as insomnia intertwines with despair and the loss of hope. In this chaotic existence, I embody the essence of contradiction, laughing in the face of nothingness,